All right. So this has been an interesting end to the week. I have received all of the components required to put together the new fiber switch. So, the QSFP transceivers, the fiber optic cabling, and the MicroTech 100 gigabit switch. So, I guess the really big thing is the 100 gigabit switch is in. The configuration of it is complex, to say the least. Um, and then, in addition to that, the primary network decided to kick the bucket this weekend. Um, I was having some issues with hairpinning and port forwarding on the device, and it opened up a ticket with support. That ended up getting a firmware update, and then post firmware update, everything just went to hell in a handbasket. So I am now running on a ancient Asus router, just to keep the network alive, much less get Wi-Fi or anything else going. It is just kind of a mess. Um, the other bit that came in was the move and cool system. So the room now is at an acceptable temperature, which is really nice. It is a far cry from the 87, 88 degrees that it was before. Um, Again, it's not that the house is incapable of cooling it, it's the fact that it's all concentrated in one location. So, being able to exhaust some of this heat out into the greater world has helped significantly. The downside to it is that I am right on the edge of a 15 amp circuit, so I need to get that updated to a 20 amp, and then I think I should be good again. Um, the main driving part here, so let me switch cameras, and you can see here, and I'll probably crop and zoom this in post, is that I really struggled once I installed the networking card. Was one, the networking card likes to overheat almost immediately, so it needs dedicated cooling to it, on that on the server and on the main rig, so that was complicated. And then the second part was that after getting it installed up and running, I could only get 20 gigabits, somewhere in that range. Nowhere near the 100 gigabit throughput that we were supposed to be getting. So, um, I was doing some reading and some other stuff, and there was a sysadmin online that had made a post that said, yeah, iPerf 3 is terrible, use iPerf 2. Lo and behold, iPerf 2 is by far the better program than iPerf 3. Lord knows why. The numerical differences are as unimportant as they are. So iPerf 3 apparently was designed to deal with a very specific problem, whereas iPerf 2 was multi-threaded, and all of the other good stuff that it needs to be. And so you can see here, I kicked off a iPerf with 32 threads. That processed through at, um, 79 gigabits per second, um, which is pretty darn fast. It it is definitely cooking with gas. So we'll move this over here, and I'll run this command again. This guy up in the corner. And you'll see very quickly that the Mellanox connector, one, that the test doesn't last very long, but we are peaking up here in this 80 gigabits per second. There's probably some throughput and some other tuning that I could do to get like window size and some other things, but this at least is a very good proof of concept. And so for me, that's a really big step forward. I'm still nowhere near the transfer speeds that I should be. The just day-to-day data transfers are still not moving in the correct speed range. So, and because I had that network outage, my network is also hobbling along in a really, really poor state right now. So, um, I've got uh, a lot of things just barely connected and working. And so it's a bit of a mess, but it is functional, and it gives the initial push to show that it is totally capable of 100 gigabit throughput. So to me, that's a really cool piece. Once I figure out how the rest of the network needs to be set up, and it may be some limitations with Windows file transfer systems or other things. So there are other things that I need to look at, but the basic chunks are a working networking system. So yeah, I think this is a pretty solid, improvement overall. Still a lot to learn and a lot to go through, but the thought process is good. And it is a learning process. I mean, as far as all of the various components and pieces go, you know, how do you I've gone from a pretty simple network to a relatively complex network in a very short period of time. And so the growth has not, that has been faster than my knowledge base has been able to keep up with. So I am definitely going to have to get in there, do a lot more studying and understanding of, I've now got multiple switches in the environment, and not just dumb switches. I have multiple smart switches in the environment, switches that have vastly different speed differentials and connection differentials. The QSFP 28s do not plug into SFP pluses. And so getting the correct breakout cables to even, make that happen is, just all over the place. So we'll dig into it and figure it out, but overall, a good process. So with that, I'll sign off.